Marhaba and hello to our sisters and brothers around the world in the cause, our fellows in the cause of justice for the Palestinian people. With me today is Muhammad Jihad Ismael, wonderful writer and historian who's in Gaza, in Deir al-Balah, south of Gaza City. I'm Dr. Jack Dempsey, an American historian living in Crete these days. It's Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023. And we're talking about, as usual, Palestinian issues, people, causes, events, and there's always something. Muhammad and I wanted to step out of our traditional format tonight in order to broach a subject which concerns our numbers at YouTube. We're saying, well, where are all the people? I know that when I put up a picture of a cat on Facebook, I have almost 250 friends who will put up a like on that. When I post the latest program, almost nothing. It's quite striking. Some people talk about things like shadow banning that happen at YouTube for non-approved subjects that get shunted down into the bottom of your suggested video lists and all this. And Muhammad wanted to speak to this as well because he knows a lot of people in the Arab world through his work, his family, and his friends. And they tell a different story, which might be of interest to you tonight. So if you haven't been hearing about Palestinian issues, maybe there's takes a little bit more digging. See what Muhammad has to say about these questions. Good evening, Muhammad. Thank you again for talking with us from Gaza, a 15-year open-air prison for 2.5 million people with virtually no resources. Before the end of the program, we will mention 3 different ways at least that you personally can reach into their prison and help these folks to survive and to live a decent life, even in this. That was in your house, Muhammad, not mine. So,
hello, brother.
Go ahead, please tell us about whatever's on your mind and also the numbers at YouTube issue.
Hello, brother. Thank you so much for this new opportunity. Hello for all of our viewers and friends. When we talk about YouTube numbers, I think it's a problematic issue. It's a strange issue. In fact, 3 days ago, I was drinking coffee with one of my close friends who is working as a computer expert or computer technician. He asked me, Muhammad, why your content with Jack is being fought and attacked by the administration of YouTube? I told him, what you say? We are fought. What sort of harm we are making against them? We are very humble channel and making humble program. Our audience is not large, so what's the problem? He told me, no, don't believe in those numbers. YouTube is cheating you. Is it cheating you and cheating Jack? Because those numbers of viewers are not real. In fact, I believe strongly that hundreds, maybe 1,000 or a couple of thousands of people are watching each video for you. I told him, why?
Mohammed, you described the audiences in the Arab world, from Gaza, Palestine in general, to other Arab countries. Would you describe the audience that you believe is there? Who are the people that are watching in that part of the world?
I think
there's your wife and your friends, right? And then how does it branch out from there?
Yes, brother. For instance, our last video was viewed by 30 persons, according to Mr. YouTube. I think it's a big joke. Why? Because I am sure, I can bet you that at least 20 or 25 people from Gaza, from Deir al-Balah and from my surrounding used to watch this video. only from this little spot of land. I
Yes.
think we have 20 or 25 people who watched the video. So you cannot convince me that the rest of the world only 5 people from all over the world used to watch this video, in addition to the people of Gaza. So
That's a good way to put it because you're talking about such a small selection of people that have decent numbers who like to watch it because they're interested in the Palestinian point of view and in the cultural and historical subjects that we talk about and explore out of our learning. Uh, you're taking a very small sample, yeah. So why wouldn't it at least be a little bit same way around the rest of the world? It is strange. I don't know about a conspiracy, but YouTube has been caught doing what they call shadow banning and shunting off into lower selectivity rates for certain programs.
yeah, brother, I
We're
will tell
desperate
you
here.
about the video which we made very few days ago, which was about the psychological situation of Gaza people.
Yeah.
This
How many
video,
people
this
know about
video in
that?
particular,
How many media people cover that and explore that and let the world know that? Excuse me, Mohammed.
yes, brother. This video, brother, in particular, I used to send its link to so many international people who are living in Gaza: Italians, French, Belgian, German, Australians. Those people used to watch our program about the psychological situation of Gaza. So I am sure that at least 100 people from Gaza, only from Gaza, used to watch this video. So I don't believe how YouTube give us this number, maybe 40 or 41 viewers. I cannot believe.
Yes, and I can tell you that where we have all those beautiful pictures of your family and of the work we've been doing on your home there in Gaza, it's at jackdempseywriter.wordpress.com, jackdempseywriter.wordpress.com. I would say that our programs and those photo pages are fairly well visited among the many, I think there may be a hundred or two other pages at the site. So there are people who look for it. There are people, I think, in many, many countries, Mohammed, who want to talk to you, who want to hear from you, because you are there in Gaza. You are not owned by anybody. Your voice is not controlled by any network or job or money interest or anything else. You're telling the life that you are living there in Gaza every day with no electricity for the past couple of days because of shelling from artillery and bombing, with no drinkable water, with low grade, poorly available medical care. You can't get in, you can't get out, you can't export your goods, you can't bring things in. You cannot receive a book from me, Mohammed. You cannot receive a book from me. And the world needs to know this. And I think the world does care. There are many signs in the air that things are turning toward the Palestinians' just cause. But it's very, I don't know, I love to see you smile because it shows me the incredible courage and sense of humor that you bring to every obstacle that confronts you. And I don't blame you one bit for thinking that somehow YouTube is changing the numbers and scaling them down so that other people will not think that, hey, maybe there's something here. Sorry to go on.
Yes, yes, brother. Of course, you are right. Beside that, we have to mention something important. This friend has told me that YouTube policy used to avoid your video, and it doesn't suggest it for anyone who is searching on YouTube for Palestinian news, for Palestine updates, etc. So even our videos are not suggested by YouTube. So I think it's a shameful action.
The
Why
thing
they
that
does this?
surprises
It's
me
a big
about it is that, let's say, here we are, we're on Zoom, right? We're recording with Zoom, and then I download the file and I upload the file to YouTube. And I add information and a title based on what we've talked about that week. I always, in every single program, Muhammad, I use the title name, the word Palestinian. So anybody searching for the Palestinian subject has a good chance of coming up with this because it's usually new, it's usually fresh. It's about every 2 weeks, I think we do the program. And we've done almost 30 of them now. It's a strange situation. But as we joked before, I thought this was worth sharing with the audience, Mohammed, that at least we are sure that a few people are watching in Israel. Because if people have
yes,
seen
yes,
that new
yes.
report on high-tech surveillance of every step that Palestinian people take in their life in Palestine on their own land in Israel, they would be able to believe easily that you and I are being watched every week in case we say something wrong.
Yes, yes, brother. Yes, yes. Unfortunately, brother, this what happened. We have any kind of freedom here in Gaza. Everything in our life is being spied and registered by those people. They are watching us. They are spying on our personal life, whether from sky, whether from sea, whether from land. We are being watched and spied from everywhere. Don't forget that they have satellites, and those satellites are making or are taking billions of photos each day for each 1 square meter in Gaza area. Those satellites are making billions of photos every day. Besides that, something important, we have some balloons, flying balloons, also are making billions of photos each day for each street in Gaza, each house in Gaza, each corner in Gaza. Also, they use to spy us from sea, from their ships, etc. So everything is watched by those people.
Well, Mohammed, I think it's good for us to talk about this because it may add perspective, someone else's understanding as well of the situation, and that you are confined from all directions at once. Your bodies, your culture, your politics, your spirit, they are trying so hard to contain you, to keep you quiet, and to keep people from understanding these things, but together we're able to laugh in its face. And before we were talking before this program about it, and we just wanted to know to these people who are getting in our way or watching us with great anxiety, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? You should ask yourself, you should ask yourself, what is wrong with you? You are so afraid
I
of
told you,
this gentle, educated, civilized man who wants to live in peace with his family here. What's wrong with you?
uh,
Ask your
brother,
mother.
brother, I will tell you what's wrong with us.
Ask your
Simply, we
mama.
are goyim. Simply, we are goyim. We are goyim,
Yes.
and
And you
and
know why that is
according,
the word? You know why that is the word? Because we are to them animals on two legs. That's the meaning of the word. You are an animal. To be a servant, to be devoured. Two legs. That's what the word
exactly,
means.
exactly, brother. Of course, you know, brother, the term goyim is the plural formula for the word goy. Goy is the single
Yes,
human animal, but its
yes.
plural formula is goyim. Yeah, brother. So our problem, our fault, our sin is that we are goyim. So as you just mentioned, we are animals, and their God, Yahweh, used to create us on two legs instead of four legs, just to let us be servants for our masters, for the for the Zionists, brother. So we are going, and brother, we have only two options. We have only two options: whether to be killed by their weapons, or to go by your choice to commit suicide, to throw yourself from a building, to have a poison, to shoot yourself with a gun, to do anything. So you have to be killed by their weapons, or to commit suicide by yourself.
And
You haven't third option.
this is the pressure. This is the measure of the pressure on people that we were talking about in the last program, isn't it? The psychological damage that 15 years of confinement and 75 years of complete dispossession by violence and righteousness and more violence. This is exactly the register of where that's happening. And Mohammed, while we still have some time left, and because it's connected to your case directly, I think it's worth mentioning the death of Sheikh Kheder Adnan this week, 44 years old, a man with 13 children, 13 arrests over the many years in his opposition and resistance against apartheid Israel. Spent over 8 years in their jails without a trial, and he went on many hunger strikes over the years. In 2004 was his first one, and he won his freedom by it. He was arrested repeatedly again because he was affiliated with Palestinian Islamic Jihad again and again and again, and won multiple cases against his imprisonment through hunger strikes. But this time, they're saying that the Israeli prison in Ramleh let him die. We'd like to hear, I mean, now in response to that, there were launches of rockets from Gaza last night, and the retaliation in artillery and missiles and jets and helicopters and everything else came back at Gaza, as it always does. And your house was shaking from the explosions, and so were your children. Your two little young girls and your beautiful young son, not to mention your wife and the rest of your family and every friend you have in that god awful place. So you are where the chips fall when a figure like Adnan gives his life in the struggle. If you can share your thoughts and feelings about this event, it's pretty important. He's the 237th Palestinian prisoner to die in an Israeli hospital since 1967.
Yes, brother. Yes, brother. This man, Adnan, as you know, was died after a very long hunger strike, and it wasn't the first hunger strike for him. He implemented so many hunger strikes before that. This time he passed away. He had a severe weakness in his body, and finally he passed away. You just mentioned that he was imprisoned without a trial, and always Israel is doing this. Israel is violating the international law. Israel is violating Geneva accords, uh, agreements. Israel is violating the humanitarian international law. How you put somebody inside a prison for extended years without give him the right to have his lawyer, to defend himself, to be presented to a court. So in Israel, we have so many stories like this story.
And the
Too many
United
people.
States is breaking its own laws in supporting this regime. It's United
Yes,
States federal law that you cannot send unqualified military support to a country that has been identified as a consistent violator of human rights. Every major human rights organization around the world now has declared that Israel is an apartheid state. Open and shut case from our last program, even from the mouths of the editors at Foreign Affairs, no less a journal than that. I'd like people to understand, though, as I always want them to know how you're thinking there in Gaza every day, Muhammad, how people understood Adnan's life. I read that he was very much against the Palestinian Authority because he saw that they were just the policemen for Israel. He did a lot of work to help fellow prisoners to uh, stand up for their rights, and he helped a lot to help bring support to their families while, let's say, the father or the husband or the brother was in jail and unable to support the families. He helped a lot to organize that, and that he was a strong fellow in the resistance, a strong figure in it. Now, your name is Muhammad Jihad Ismail. I know you understand the name Jihad better than anybody. So, what does it mean that this man who did so much to help other people was also a member of Palestinian Islamic Jihad? Is that it's an armed wing of the Saraya al-Quds, I think, and is that an open armed violent struggle that he was part of or not? What it was his reputation and experience, Muhammad?
yeah. For me, brother, I am sympathizing with this man because he was killed in cold blood. He was killed. How he was killed? He was killed because he was humiliated inside the Israeli prisons and didn't had his right to be shown to a court and to defend himself with a lawyer. But for me, if you want to speak about, so I sympathize with him as a human. But if you want to speak about the ideological point of views, I don't agree with him. He is an Islamic person. He belonged to Islamic Jihad, and Islamic Jihad is the puppy of Iran in Palestine. For me, I don't agree with him. For me, as Muhammad, I am a secular person. I don't believe in the religious thought.
Well, for
Beside that,
Adnan, before Mr. Adnan was jihad. We know that your name, you've taught me this before, that jihad means one who struggles for his culture, one
yeah,
who struggles for his society, that is to say, his family
yeah,
and his land and so forth. But was Mr. Adnan uh, not only deeply religious, but was he also taking part in violent resistance movements like the Jenin Brigade?
yeah. Yes, brother.
That is where
I
you
will.
disagree with him. Is that correct? That
Yeah,
is where you
yeah.
disagree with him, Mohammed?
I disagree with him in 2 points. The first one, I am against all the religious ideologies. I think it's a corruption in anywhere to make religious parties because we have to separate and we have to I think we have to separate between politics and religion. I think religion should be kept aside and it should be far away from politics. So this is number one. I disagree with him in this. The second thing, I disagree with him about the violence, about the military resistance. For
As
me,
you've
as
said
Muhammad,
many times.
yeah, yeah, I don't believe in any kind of violent resistance. I believe in strongly in resistance, but not the military one. Because also this kind of resistance, also this kind of resistance is violating the human rights of some Israeli citizens. So I disagree with it. But as I told you, as a human being, of course, I feel sympathy with him because he didn't has his rights in the Israeli jail. I think he I think they supposed to show him to the court to defend himself. I think
Yes,
it's his right
yes.
according to the international law.
Let me ask you, Muhammad, Mr. Adnan, as I've read, did a lot of work, help the families of the men who were put into jails, women and children too, of course. He did a lot to help the families while their relatives were imprisoned. Very important function to carry on the work of survival. So could you explain a little? You told in the life of Shafir, your ancient village there, that families lived together closely and helped each other a lot. So do you think that now there are other families that Mr. Adnan helped will reach out to his family, 13 children, and to try to take care of them while he is no longer with them?
Of course, brother.
How would that work?
Of course, brother. Here in Palestine, whether in the times of Shafir before Nakba or now in the contemporary era, we have this kind of strong ties between families. We have this very strong social ties between each family and the others. And beside that, don't forget that his family will take a salary from the Islamic Jihad.
Hmm.
The Islamic Jihad will not leave his family. I think they will put a monthly salary for his wife and his children. So they will not be forgotten, whether by the other families or by the other jihad, the Islamic Jihad.
Hmm. Well, as our time starts to go, Mohammed, I'd just like to kind of repeat part of what is usually in our introduction, but just three ways if people are listening and feeling what's going on in all these different aspects of Gaza and the Palestinians' life. How can I help? What can I do? Well, there are three things. First, write to your own government, whether it be the United States or Britain or European government, Arab government, even Israel. Write a letter, write an email, make a phone call. Two, three, and tell them that you demand as a citizen of the world that they end their either indifference or support of the Israeli apartheid regime. There must be justice if there's going to be peace. Second, practice BDS in your consuming of products and shopping and filling your needs. Please exercise a little bit of observation as to whether or not the products that you buy, any of them, are produced in occupied territories of Palestine, and boycott those products and perhaps even substitute buying where you buy your olive oil from the Palestinians, which is easily available online. And you can support their small time farmers hold on to the land in those beautiful ancient olive groves that even the Assyrians left the Palestinians to manage because they were the ones who loved and knew those trees most. Finally, Mohammed and I, as brothers here, have organized a little thing called Family to Family, where you, like myself, can get to know real Palestinian people and work out and enjoy via Zoom, for example, a friendship with them and find out how maybe $5 a month for aspirin or $8 a month for school supplies or something you can do reaching right in over these horrible walls. You can find them and have direct contact, no NGO, no bank, no profiteer at all involved, just straight from Western Union and you to them. And you will see directly results of your help. So that's it for our closing. Mohammed, what else would you like to add or talk about today? Excuse me.
Yes, brother. Yeah, in fact, brother, I want to add a couple of things. First of all, in addition to the olive oil, I want to invite our friends to buy Gaza strawberry. Gaza produce very, very delicious strawberry, and you can find it in the different places in Europe and in Far Asia. I think it's available in too many countries. The second thing, just now I remembered something important. I remembered once I read a testimony was published in an Israeli newspaper. This testimony was for an intelligence officer, Israeli intelligence officer. He said, "I was making the control for. I was the control man for a drone, and this drone was flying over a very crowded place inside Gaza.
And there are many
I
of them
remember,
every day in the air over you, making this awful noise, so forth. Go ahead. So that you know you're being watched at all times.
yeah, yes, brother. Uh, and he said, he mentioned in this testimony that once I saw an old man was sitting on a chair and was reading in his newspaper. So I decided to make the zoom of my drone as uh, as as I can do to see more and more, to make the zoom more and more.
Yes.
And finally, I used to read what he's reading inside
Yes.
the newspaper.
You can do that
I
now.
used to see, yeah, I used to see the ink which printed on the paper, and
Yes.
I used to read maybe 3 or 4 lines, 3 or 4 sentences. So I used to read the newspaper which this old man is reading. So can you imagine how our life is spied and it's a very catastrophic situation, brother. I think they are counting even our breath, even the oxygen that we consume. I think they calculate it. So it's a bad situation, brother.
Yes, and there's so much of it under our noses we're not even aware of, that these people have mental problems, that their greed and their lust for power makes them treat other people in sadistic ways. I don't think many people realize that the Greek government and the Israeli government are working together now in quiet business arrangements that keep Palestinian fishermen very close to the coast so they don't see anything. The Greeks and the Israelis are together stealing natural gas from underneath the ocean off Lebanon and Palestine. There is nothing they won't do. There is no crime they won't commit. There's no lie they won't tell. And I can only ask them once more, ask your mother, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Why can't you just be another group of wonderful human beings who want to enjoy the prosperity of the earth and all that it offers us? We need to stop
Yes,
it.
yes, brother.
We need to tell them to stop it, Muhammad. And I'm very proud to be your brother in that struggle. And I think we've had fun today. We hope the audience has as well. And our great sympathy goes out to the family of Mr. Adnan and to all Palestinians who have a sad day this day. And we're sorry that the violence continues, but I don't know what else you can expect without justice.
Yes, yes, brother. You just mentioned last time, and you repeated many times that Israel is trying to provoke violence, and they are trying to push the Palestinians for those practices, to make violence, to launch rockets, etc. So I agree with you. Always they are trying to provoke violence.
And it's simply astonishing to the world, starting with me, if you will, the patience and the fortitude of the Palestinian people under this absolutely relentless onslaught. That again, we hope you will write a letter at this BDS and help out a Palestinian family directly yourself in the most wonderfully rewarding relationship you may ever have. And ironically, through Israel's tyranny, that might only be on Zoom, not quite be able to see the results of that relationship. So, Mohammed, on behalf of Family to Family, see the further info below here with the video. I want to thank you for another week of your friendship and for letting the world know what's going on. And we'll be back with another program. Lots of interesting things to talk about next time. Peace to you,
Thank
brother.
you, brother. Thank you so much, brother. I hope to see you again in the next program.
Bye for now.